Good morning, children. Let's begin with the next lesson, lesson 3.6, the concert by Shanta Rao. Yesterday, we completed with the warming up activities of this lesson, the concert. Today, we are going ahead with the explanation of the lesson. The text type of the lesson is a story. So, the concert is a true story with a few changes in the names of the characters. Now we have the main character here as Smita. You can see Smita sitting over here. Smita's mother, Smita's brother Anant, Aunt Sushila, a mustachioed man. Then we also have one of the characters as Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Rakha. Now, as we read the title, The Concert, we understand that the story revolves around the concert. You can see the concert over here, which is being attended by Smita and her father. And the performers at the concert are Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Rakha. So, this is the story which revolves around the concert and hence the title, The Concert. The story also highlights the love of a sister for her brother, the concern which she has for her dying brother, and her sincere effort, the sister's sincere effort in order to fulfill the last wish of his brother. Let's today understand this lesson. But before we begin with the explanation, children, let's understand today's phrase. Today's phrase, in a nutshell, in the image you can see a walnut. Walnut seeds are known for being a rich source of nutrients, particularly proteins and fatty acids. Now let's understand today's phrase. What is the meaning of in a nutshell? In a nutshell is an expression to use when you want to summarize news or information. Let's make ourselves understand through an example. You haven't studied hard enough and did badly in your exams. In a nutshell, you have to sit this year's class again next year. Second example, our company didn't sell much and the economy is doing badly. In a nutshell, we are out of business. Let's take a note of another phrase. When you say someone is nuts, you mean they are crazy or too daring. And the example is, do you intend to cross the Atlantic Ocean in a kayak? You are nuts. Now, what is the interesting fact? The interesting fact is regarding walnuts. Just go through it and add to your knowledge. Now, let's begin with the introduction. The concert. Shanta Rao, born in 1930 and she died in 2007, was a notable dancer from India. Notable means very prominent dancer from India. She was exponent of Bharatnatyam. Exponent means she was a promoter of Bharatnatyam and also studied Kathakali and Kuchipudi. So Bharatnatyam, Kathakali and Kuchipudi, they are classical dance forms. She was recipient of Padma Shri and Sangeet Natak Academy Award and Kalidas Sanman for music, dance and drama. This is a true story. That is, the concert is a true story. But all the names except Pandit Ravi Shankar's and Ustad Allah Rakha's have been changed. So all the other names of the characters are changed, but only Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Rakha's name have been retained in the story. Now let's begin with the explanation. One morning in a small apartment in Bombay, a girl of about 16 looked up from the newspaper and said excitedly, Pandit Ravi Shankar's playing tomorrow at the Shanmukhanand Auditorium. Shh, said her mother, pointing to the figure sleeping on the bed. You will wake him up. You know, he needs all the sleep and rest he can get. Now, over here, you can see in the image a small apartment in Bombay. You can also see Smita, who is sitting on the table and she's reading a newspaper. While reading the newspaper, she came across a news which mentioned that Pandit Ravi Shankar was playing at the Shanmukhanand Auditorium, and she was very excited. And excitedly, she just revealed the news loudly. To this, the mother reacted and she asked Smita to be quiet. And she pointed, there was a reason behind it. She pointed to a figure who was sleeping on the bed. She reminded Smita that because of her excitement and speaking so loudly, she would wake this person who was sleeping on the bed. And she reminded Smita that Smita knew that how much rest and sleep the boy required who was sleeping on the bed. So I hope with this image, it is clear to you what is the scene all about. We have a question here. Why was Smita excited? Smita was excited as she came across a news in the newspaper that Pandit Ravi Shankar was going to perform at the Shanmukhanand Auditorium. But the boy on the bed was not asleep. Pandit Ravi Shankar, he said. Pandit Ravi Shankar, the sitar maestro. Now, though the mother felt that the boy was asleep, he was not. He was awake and he had heard what Smita had expressed in excitement. He had heard that Pandit Ravi Shankar was going to perform. And he confirms that Pandit Ravi Shankar, the sitar maestro, are you talking about Pandit Ravi Shankar, who is an expert of sitar? He raised himself up on his elbows for 1 second, then fell back. He tried to get up on his own, on his elbows, but he was so weak that he fell back. He couldn't even hold himself for 1 second. But his eyes were shining. But he was very excited, and in that excitement, his eyes were shining. We must not miss the chance, he said. I have always wanted to hear him and see him. And he says that he didn't want to miss this chance of listening to Pandit Ravi Shankar. He tells everyone, he tells his mother and Smita that he always wanted to hear Pandit Ravi Shankar perform live, as well as he wanted to see him in person. Lie down, son, lie down. His mother sprang to his side, and the mother was very much worried about the boy's condition. So she quickly sprang. Sprang means to leap to the boy's side. The mother very quickly went towards the boy and asked him to lie down. He actually raised himself up without help, she murmured. She murmured means she very quietly she spoke the words that the boy had actually raised himself, tried to get up without any support, which he required now. And she murmured with a catch in her throat, and her eyes turned to the idols on a corner shelf. Now, when she murmured the statement, there was a catch in her throat. There was a break in her voice because she became very emotional seeing the condition of her son, who couldn't even get up, raise himself for a second. He had become so weak. and therefore she had become emotional and her voice broke. Even her eyes moved towards the idols of God which were placed on the corner shelf. The prayer which she uttered endlessly came unbidden to her lips. Continuously she was praying for the boy, for the wellness of the boy. And this prayer which she was uttering, she was saying continuously, came unbidden. Unbidden means uninvited to her lips. Till here, I hope children it is clear. Now let's go to the next video and let's understand about, let's know more about the lesson.